Good morning, y'all. It's Jay, and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Connect from my home, coming from my home office here. Saturday, 9:30, and just glad to be with you. We do this every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 9:30 in the morning, just to give you some time for us to get together and get into God's Word, a little encouragement, maybe a little challenge today. But before we get into our passage for today, I want to tell you about the today's mug, but actually it's the cup. And actually it's not just a cup, it's what we, at least the staff, call the cup, at least for me. And it's kind of a little joke between me and Lauren and JL, at least. But honestly, I've had a cup like this. You may wonder why I've always got this cup on Sundays. I can actually customize the inside of it. When I was a youth pastor, I've had a cup like this when I speak for like 10 years. And it's really in some ways like my security blanket, if you want to call it that. But it really kind of started because I just needed something to drink when I was speaking in case I get a dry throat or whatever. And I didn't trust myself to have something without a lid. Because I knew I would spill it. And so I got a cup, and it's actually a Starbucks cup. This is the third one that I've had because one fell off the roof of my car. There's a story there. And then the other one I accidentally kind of melted with our griddle. And then there's this one. And I always seem to leave this thing sitting around the church, and I never know where it is, and so Lauren helps me find it. But this is my cup. Most of the time, it's got water in it, but it does have coffee in it in the mornings. And so this is the cup, and my cup. And so if you ever hear me say, if you're walking around and you see me walking around looking like I'm looking for my cup at the church, this is the cup I'm looking for, more than likely. So again, oversharing a little too much. But the other part of the reason I wanted to have this particular cup today is because it does kind of go back to my youth pastor days, and the passage we're going to be looking at goes back to those days as well. But man, it applies so well to us right now. And so our process: pray, read, think, write, do. If you haven't prayed as I did beforehand, please push pause, say a prayer, and ask the Lord to just show you something and teach you something here over the next couple of minutes and speak to you. So pray. Now let's read. And the part that the passage, at least, that we're going to look at is Proverbs. It's a short verse. Proverbs 13:20 is the verse. And I actually don't have to look at it because I've got it memorized, because I've said it so many times. It's Proverbs 13:20 in the New Living Translation, and it says, "Walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble." And it's such a simple phrase and simple passage, and but there's so much behind it. And so that's the read part. And the think part, there's a lot on this one. And so to me, it really comes down to this idea of who you run with is who you are. That idea came from Solomon when he wrote this. Who you run with is who you are, because it matters. Walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble. In a lot of ways, this is a duh, but we don't always do it, do we? And it's really kind of this an analogy I used, and I guess can still use is it kind of reminds me of, like, if as a Christian, let's say I'm standing on a chair, and if I'm standing on a chair's not super wide, but it's stable. If I stay there and I stay in the center, I'm all right. But it would also, it matters who I let around me, because I can easily be knocked off of a chair if there's someone around me that maybe shouldn't be. They can knock me down and pull me down. And if me being up on the chair is representing, maybe the way in which I live, I don't want to be knocked down, because that's dangerous. And so I want to stay on the chair where I'm in the Lord's will. And so who I surround myself with makes a difference and makes an impact on my life. And so I need to make sure that the people I put around the chair, are they gonna pull me down, or are they gonna help keep me there? Because it can be tough to keep your own balance and to stay there. And we're not meant to do life alone. And quite frankly, Jesus even used this principle when, with the way he was with the disciples. He had Yes, he was a friend of sinners, and yes, he went out and visited people and hung out with people that other people thought he shouldn't, and all of those things, absolutely. But the people who kept closest to him, right? He had three, and then the rest of the disciples and the apostles. He had three that were really close. Then he had the rest that were there, and then he had the rest of the disciples. And so he even he kept himself. I don't want to say protected, but insulated is maybe the right word. He was wise about who he let around him, and he was God, right? Um, and so if that was good enough for him, how much more do I need that? How much more do I need to make sure that the people I surround myself with um, are people of positive influence um, and righteousness, and are wanting to keep me on the chair so that I can stay on the chair. And so, what's God saying to you through this, through this passage, Proverbs 13:20? What stands out to you? Maybe throw something down in the comments and about what this looks like in your life. I can think of plenty of times in my life in the past when I know I've had maybe the wrong people influencing me or hanging around me or whatever, and they weren't pointing me toward Jesus, and how that influenced me negatively, and how having people around me that do point me to Jesus can influence me positively in a way that I can live more for Jesus. So the action step there, the do, pray, read, think, write. What's the do piece, the action step here? What do I do with this? I guess it's really asking myself a question. What am I doing to stay on the chair, if we're going to keep going with that chair analogy? And who is around me, and who will I let be that close to me? Am I walking with the wise so that I can become wise? Or am I associating with fools and then being surprised if I get in trouble? So I hope this, I guess in some ways, I hope this challenges you, and that you take kind of a look at what that looks like for you, regardless of your age. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for tuning in here for a few minutes. And be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and all of that good stuff, so that we can have coffee and connect to Christ's community and purpose through God's Word together. See you next time.